Wouldn't you like to know the details of Jamaica's labor market? That way you can find out which jobs are in demand, check out the trends, establish a pattern, and get insight into the best areas to get qualified. If interested, today's edition of Jamaica Magazine is for you. We'll explain what government is doing to ensure that information becomes available. Also in today's package, the usual health-wise. This week's episode will look at loving the heart. And as Election Day draws near, we hit the streets to hear why it is important to vote. Welcome, I'm Theodore Henry. Jamaica Magazine unfolds right now.
The correct way to vote. Step 1. Find out exactly where you are to vote before Election Day.
Adrian Atkins.
Step 2.
Thank you very much.
Present your voter's identification card and follow the instructions of the presiding officer. Step 3. Once your identity has been verified and your name is found on the voters list, you will be issued a ballot paper. Step 4. Go behind the voting booth and mark an X with the pencil provided beside the candidate of your choice. Then, fold your ballot twice, leaving the flap out. Step 5. Give the ballot to the presiding officer. Then, dip your right index finger in the electoral ink and watch while your unopened ballot is put in the box. Step 6. Leave the vicinity in a peaceful manner.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, February 23. 20 vehicles have been presented to the 4 regional health authorities and the Jamaica Fire Brigade Emergency Management Service to boost the National Emergency Response Mechanism. The vehicles include 10 ambulances and 10 pickup trucks earmarked for vector control activities.
This represents really a very historic day for us, as it is the largest fleet generally to be added to the Ministry of Health system since 2012, or I think since 2007.
The vehicles were bought through Toyota Jamaica and financed by the National Health Fund and the Chase Fund at a cost of more than $129 million. The health minister used the function to salute persons who have been out working with vector control teams to ensure a reduction of the mosquito population across the island. Meanwhile, the health minister has expressed sadness at the passing of Dr. Susan Roy, a member of the ministry's medical team who died after contracting the influenza virus.
She has been a good worker, a good partner, a good person. And we pause to salute her family, her friends, and to pay tribute to the work that she has done for the people of Jamaica.
Minister Daly has sought to assure the public that there is adequate supply of the Tamiflu medication available during the current heightened flu season.
Our supplies are not bought from normal individuals. They are supplied to us through PAHO for the vaccine. The University Hospital has the supply and the Ministry of Health has adequate supply.
The health minister is urging persons to take precaution to avoid getting ill, including regular hand washing and avoiding contact with persons with flu-like symptoms. Persons with influenza are asked to help stop its spread by also practicing good hygiene and covering their mouth and nose when sneezing or coughing. There was a 63% voter turnout on Monday when the police, military, and Election Day workers went to the polls. Election Day workers had the highest voter turnout of 70%. Meanwhile, 53% of registered police personnel and 36% of the military cast their ballots. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, says while it has determined how many ballots were received, there's no indication of how the electors voted. The EOJ says the ballots have been placed in sealed envelopes and they will be opened and counted on Election Day. 39,108 Special Services electors were eligible to vote on Monday. In the 2011 general elections, there was 68.3% voter turnout among that category of electors. Ordinary Jamaicans will go to the polls this year on Thursday, February 25. Polling stations will be open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Cannabis Licensing Authority has announced that it will be ready to accept applications for ganja licenses as of Monday, April 4. The regulations, which will allow for the granting of licenses, have been drafted and are currently being reviewed. They're expected to be finalized and approved within the next 2 weeks. These regulations will immediately allow for the publishing of application forms as well as the furnishing of information to potential licensees on eligibility criteria and the terms and conditions of licenses. Under the regulations, 11 types of licenses will be issued across 5 main categories, namely cultivator, transportation, processing, retailing, and research and development. And as a special concession to ensure the participation of small growers in the new industry, the authority will waive the upfront payment of licensing fees for them for the first year of operations. And finally, the Students' Loan Bureau SLB has received a $100 million contribution from the Heart Trust NTA to support its revolving loan fund. The grant is in addition to the $250 million allotment made to the program last year. It will benefit tertiary students enrolled in technical and vocational courses, as well as the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM disciplines.
We need so many teachers of math and of science and of vocational subjects for them to be able to get better, more financing.
SLB Council Chairman Anthony Luars expressed gratitude for the support, pointing out that last year's grant benefited 310 students.
This will go a far way in providing assistance to an additional 250 bright and capable students for this academic year.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
For all Jamaicans to be productive citizens and to achieve further economic growth, we need a diverse collection of skills to fit the growing needs of the economy. The government, through the Labour Ministry and other entities like Heart Trust NTA, is doing everything in their powers to make that possible. The first step is to do the research. Watch this.
The labor market, it's all about supply and demand, a place where persons seek jobs and the employers look for qualified and competent workers to carry out various tasks. The latest labor force survey by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin was done in October 2015 and released in January this year. It showed that the total labor force in October 2015 was over 1.3 million, 15,000 more than the corresponding period in 2014. The unemployment rate for October 2015 was 13.5%, a 0.7 percentage point decrease from October 2014. Armed with that and other information, government through the Labour Ministry and its partners has been collecting information on persons seeking jobs and those hiring people for work.
The purpose of labor market information is to guide us in our practices for meeting the needs of labor market. It's also very critically about trends and issues, about opportunities and technologies, and all of those things that impact how we meet those needs.
What jobs are available? Which professions need more individuals? Which professions are creating a glut in the market? What skills will be required in the next 10 years? With those questions in mind, Heart Trust NTA launched its inaugural Labour Market Research Day in February 2016. The goal was to increase awareness of labour market information and explore work, training and business plans and opportunities. The event was held under the theme Labour Market Information, a National Imperative for Careers and Economic Development. The Education Minister has endorsed the initiative.
It assists us to have focus in our studies and to make reasonable choices, which will prevent the disappointment experienced by so many who qualify themselves without proper research and information.
And so the Education Ministry is aligning curriculums to meet demands and provide job opportunities. More emphasis is being placed on technical and vocational subjects, not just academics. The aim is to ensure that children at the secondary level acquire vocational skills that are marketable. Some tangible or soft skills will be included in the mix.
This is why, starting next September, the Ministry of Education will gradually roll out a new curriculum in schools that will de-emphasize learning by memory and will emphasize problem solving and critical thinking.
Heart Trust NTA has also been helping to equip many Jamaicans with marketable skills. Career Coach has been providing guidance to individuals in communities, and a mobile welding laboratory, which was launched in November 2015, has been making the rounds, training persons across the island.
And before next month is out, you'll have the mobile industrial electronics lab as well as the mobile restaurant services facilitating training wherever you are in Jamaica.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security through the Labour Market Reform Commission is also working assiduously to match job seekers with employers. This is being done through the expansion of the Labour Market Information System, a $3.5 million project funded by the Inter-American Development Bank.
Through the LMIS database, employers and investors will know where to locate certified and uncertified skills. Policymakers will know where there's an undersupply or oversupply of skills and take corrective actions. The process, therefore, will advance productivity improvement and country competitiveness in the marketplace.
Access to the LMIS will be broadened as it will now be used in the Jamaica Library Service JLS's network. A memorandum of understanding was signed by the Ministry and the JLS in January 2016 to cement the partnership. Under the agreement, librarians will help individuals locate information and show them how to register and search for jobs on the LMIS website. A second phase of the program is also being rolled out.
This phase will focus on upgrading information such as pertinent labor laws, career mapping, major investment projects, opportunities in new businesses, emerging occupations, and overseas employment.
The Government of Jamaica collecting information on the labour market, expanding the use of the LMIS database, balancing the equation, fulfilling the needs of job seekers and employers.
Some marine, you know. Yeah?
Yeah, man, I have the package 60,000.
60,000?
Yeah.
How much I want?
Yeah, man, 2 bills I want, man.
Yeah, man, no one
$5 grand, you know.
Yeah, man. Alright,
what one, cat?
You don't know, I sit downtown the other day there. Oh. All the brethren, them man, we buy and sell marina. One of them I sell a 6-pack for $1,000 and the next one I sell one for $200.
So where why?
Buy 5 of them for $1,000. Think them can't rob me.
So Uncle Fancy is the same $1,000 you would spend to get the 6? Seriously?
Tell them again now, my math brains.
Math count.
Math count.
Sponsored by the Ministry of Education.
Earlier, we spoke about the importance of labor market information. The research has shown that there is a need for math and science teachers, and among the strategies to retain more of those teachers is to provide incentives such as scholarships for them to further their studies. The first set of recipients are already beaming because of that wonderful opportunity.
On behalf of all the recipients of this noble scholarship, I would like to say thank you, because for me personally, a huge load has been removed from my back, so I can actually get a good night rest. And believe me, this scholarship has done so much for me. So I can actually think on school and not stress myself anymore. So thank you again once more.
So why is Orlando no longer stressing? That's because his struggle to pay for his education has eased. And he's not the only one. Orlando and 50 other aspiring and current teachers are the first beneficiaries of the Ministry of Education's Mathematics and Science Teacher Scholarships. It's no secret. The country continues to grapple with significantly improving students' performance in the mathematics and science subjects. And the data has shown that students are not the only ones struggling with these subjects.
Jamaica has a math phobia and it has a math deficit. The Ministry of Education has for a long time understood the statistics that a very significant proportion of those who were assigned to teach mathematics at various levels in our schools have not had the formal qualifications. Many have had no training in the subject. We believe that most of them are doing their very best, but you can't give what you don't have.
It is for this reason that the ministry has begun a program to offer scholarship opportunities to teachers pursuing careers in math and science education. Participating institutions are the Shortwood and Church Teachers Colleges, Michael University, and the University of the West Indies. The first recipients were awarded in October 2015.
Some of them are brand new students. They're just entering the teacher training institutions. A small, maybe about 10% of the awardees are actually currently enrolled in programs.
Approximately 120 applications were received, and a stringent selection process was executed.
We shortlisted on the basis of the students' passes in CSEC first. They had to have a 1 or 2 in CSEC math. If they were pursuing a program in math education, 1 or 2 in the science subject that they would have been opting to choose. And if they were choosing math and science, they would have had to have 1 and 2 in those subjects, math and the science subjects. And we looked as well at need.
And after some rigorous interview sessions, the 51 elated aspiring and current teachers were selected. The total scholarship value is $14 million.
42 will receive full tuition, 4 will receive tuition and boarding, and 5 will receive partial funding, which will be about 50% of their tuition.
And among the 51 teachers, 1 was sponsored by financial entity Jamaica National Building Society. Their task now is simply to apply their studies and maintain a B average to continue receiving the scholarship on an annual basis. They will also be bonded to the Ministry of Education at the end of their tenure.
Accept willingly, not as a heavy yoke, the bond that you will sign.
One of the important features is that we will be requiring that they agree from the outset to allow the ministry to place them in the schools we believe need their support. There are certain schools we know in certain areas where there's a particular gap in terms of qualified math and science teachers, and we would want those schools to be able to benefit from the what we know will be the expertise that they will gain over the period of their training.
The Ministry of Education's Mathematics and Science Teacher Scholarship Program, a strategic move towards developing our teachers so that they can achieve greater outcomes among our students.
What we must do is therefore to train and incentivize those of you who wish to teach mathematics and science, and those among you who have the ability, both the head and the heart. Encourage those of your peers who you think might be interested to rope in as well.
We need all the help in mathematics that we can.
We have been doing everything we can to ensure that adequate vector control efforts are carried out across the country. At the same time, we are ensuring that adequate supplies of pharmaceuticals are available free of cost at public health facilities. Additional financial and human resources have been provided to the Ministry of Health and other government entities so that they can be more effective in their actions. Let every Jamaican join hands and hearts to protect ourselves, our families, our neighbors, and our beloved nation.
We've been observing Heart Month, and that guides the focus of today's Healthwise, loving the heart.
We often associate the heart with emotions of joy and feelings of affection. Its image, even its pounding beat, has a firm link to expressions of love. But despite this much fondness, we have a tendency, without much thought, to put our hearts at risk of damage, and as a result, our lives in danger. How? Simply through improper diet and inadequate physical activity.
The evidence is well established and well known that a balanced diet is among the behaviors crucial to a healthy heart and circulation system.
And based on a 2008 health and lifestyle survey, most Jamaicans are not eating enough fruits, vegetables, and peas and beans, and are not as physically active as they should be.
The society has seemingly been taken with the bag juice, a love of processed and fast food with high salt, sugar, and fat content in these modern days. This is wreaking havoc on individuals' health and the resources of the health sector.
Having identified those factors believed to be contributing to the current trend in heart disease, the #1 cause of death in Jamaica and the Caribbean, we must take the steps to avoid the dangers. Steps that include proper portion sizes and making healthy food choices. The Ministry of Health, in partnership with non-government organizations such as the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, is encouraging healthy eating habits to reduce the incidences of heart disease.
We continue to recommend healthy food choices in schools and other public institutions and promote the consumption of a variety of fruits and vegetables daily and the reduction of salt and fats in your diet. 30 minutes of physical activity per day at least 3 times per week, and to make physical activity a part of your daily routine.
The ministry has also developed a manual on physical activity for the workplace to ensure that even while we work, we can enjoy the benefits of exercise. Eating just the required amount of nutrients has been proven to provide a healthy heart and circulatory system, while overindulging gives rise to cardiovascular diseases such as hypertension. And it's been found that heart disease is more common among people with hypertension or high blood pressure.
What hypertension does to the vessels we call arteries, which carry blood to the tissues. It causes a thickening of the wall of the arteries, the pulse we feel. The heart is getting bigger. It should require more blood, and it does. But at the same time, that pressure is also limiting the blood flow by causing hardening and narrowing of the vessels. So it's small wonder then there comes a time when the heart is going to be, its function is going to be seriously jeopardized.
Chronic kidney disease, another potential complication of hypertension, is also a contributor to the development of heart diseases. Since these diseases, which are common in adults, have been found to have their genesis in childhood years, eating healthy must start with our children.
If we can have an influence on our children with the intake and guide them on how they eat, we will start preventing generation after generation. A healthy child is one who eats fruits and vegetables.
To maintain good health, nutritionists recommend including items from all the food groups in our diets in the appropriate portions.
Challenge yourself. Don't eat processed food. Let's eat more natural, wholesome food, where sodium is extremely low and natural. Let us try and eat one packaged food a day, but let us incorporate an average of 5 servings of fruit and vegetables. A serving is just an orange, just a banana, maybe 2 cups of lettuce, or 1 cup of pumpkin, or a cup of callaloo. That's all that a serving is.
Nutritionists also recommend that we avoid fried foods and instead broil, oven roast, and steam. It is important also to limit sugary beverages and foods with added sugars. The daily recommended intake for sugar is 6 teaspoons for women and 9 teaspoons for men. As it relates to sodium or table salt, our body needs less than 1 gram per day, and that's less than half a teaspoon. Measuring the quantity of sugar, salt, and fats requires us to be vigilant, reading labels and taking note of their quantity in each serving. In seeking to help Jamaicans make the shift from current unhealthy eating habits, the Ministry of Health has moved to provide food-based dietary guidelines. The availability of these guidelines and practical use by each of us is expected to result in a healthier nation with less non-communicable diseases. We'd be avoiding early deaths from heart conditions, so let's live more and love more. Let's make our food our medicine for good hearts and good health.
If you not get it, you will lose. Make your food be your medicine, your food. Blend up your carrot with the lettuce in a juice.
Jamaica, a logistics-centered economy. Global investors investing in mega projects. Special Economic Zone Act approved by Parliament. Jamaica is ready for increased global trade. Thousands of Jamaicans across the country, from high school to higher learning, trained in logistics management. More ships refueling in Jamaica and increased logistics operations in Jamaica. Capacity building for the business sector. The Jamaica Logistics Hub Initiative, rolling out across the country.
In less than 48 hours, we will go to the polls to choose our next government. While some people are sure who they will vote for, others are undecided, and some people say they will not vote. What do you think? Is voting important? We went out a road to hear the views.
It is good to exercise your right. There's no need you're going to quarrel about government not doing this, government doing that, and you stay one side. Have your choice to choose the government who you want to run your country, right? So that is why it is important to go and vote. People must get with the program. Go and vote, exercise your rights.
Well, it's really your right.
It's important because it's your right. You want to know whatever is happening in your country, that you have made a contribution towards it.
You can have a say as to what happens in your country, as to who leads and what is done.
It only proves that you have a say in your country. So that's why you have to exercise your right to vote or not to vote.
No, I don't answer for the party, because the politics part, we don't unite. We don't unite.
Well, it's important to vote because in this time, you have to make a right decision to get a right government to run the country.
To have a better future for our children.
As a result of the staging of the general elections, all schools will be closed at 12 noon on Wednesday, February 24, and all day on Thursday, February 25, whether or not they are designated polling stations. Schools will reopen Friday, February 26.
We've come to the end of another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Thank you for tuning in. Despite your political affiliation, let peace reign at this time. Even when we disagree, let's do so in love. To catch a repeat of this program, go online and visit our YouTube page, watch JIS, and stay informed by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.